South by Southwest, give it up for Sam Acho and Bijan Robinson! Guys, what's up? You have found yourself at the best panel that's going to happen at South by Southwest. This is amazing. I'm so glad you guys are here.
You cool if we switch seats? I want you to be in the middle.
Oh, me in the middle? Okay,
star,
I'll sit in the middle. I'm down. This is great. I like this. I'm like flanked by two legends right now. This is amazing. Okay, so we're going to cover a whole bunch of content together today, and I know you guys are really excited about the stuff we're going to talk about. But something that you probably just now recognized as both of these guys walked out on stage, they have the most infectious smiles of anybody I've ever met in my entire life. Everybody that meets them smiles every single time that they see them. I'm going to give this to you. And then I'm going to give that back to Sam in just a second. That's awesome. Okay, so here's where we're going to start. Both of these guys, big smiles. There's got to be a reason. So I want to give you guys an opportunity right at the top of this to tell all of these amazing people what is the reason for the joy that you have. We're going to start with Sam, then we're going to go to B. Yeah? Here we go.
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for spending your Saturday and Sunday with us. I know you could be anywhere. This is South by Southwest. There's so much going on, so we're honored that you'd be here. One of my favorite verses, even that talks about in the Bible, says that the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I think about that from a football player's perspective. I played 9 years in the NFL, and now I'm on ESPN. I'm speaking and I'm writing, but that joy still is my strength. So when I played on the football field, the joy of the Lord keeps me. Even now that I'm on TV doing stuff with ESPN, people constantly stop me, and they'll say, man, Sam, your smile, like it brightened my day. The joy that you have changed my perspective. And so I think about whether I'm playing on a football field or doing something at a different arena, God's joy, the joy of the Lord emanates through me, and I want people to see that. I want people to feel that. I want people to experience that. Even if I don't get a chance to talk to them face to face or to touch them, I want them to feel the love of Jesus Christ as they interact with me.
Let's go. Let's go. I would say that's a mic drop, but we've already broken one mic. We can't break another one. Dude, you're constantly happy and constantly smiling. You are one of the most joyful people that I know. You always take time for everybody that wants to connect with you and hang out. Give these people a reason. Tell them the reason for the joy that you have, B.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's you guys. Like, for me, I feel that I interact with so many people in my life, and everybody who I interact with, like, I feel their joy off of what I'm giving them. And, everybody always says, like, why are you always so happy? Why do you always smile all the time? Like, what's the secret? And I'm like, there's no secret. Because I feel that, if you're connected with the Lord in a way that, it can't break you, then you can always have a joyful mindset, a joyful understanding of what you're trying to do for not just yourself, but for people around you, for, like for me, teammates, and, just so many people who I see every single day that might need a pick-me-up. And, I think that it's cool because, I see one person a day that, may know who I am, and, they'll be like, this is awesome, like this is life-changing. But for me, I think it's life-changing for myself as well, because I think that they don't understand how much they're happy and how much they're enjoying, seeing me. I think it's even more enjoyable for me to see them and to really connect and understand where they're coming from. So, there's no secrets behind it. I feel putting a smile on somebody's face is bigger than scoring a touchdown. Obviously, that's a big thing, but
is it bigger than a one-handed catch? Yeah, this man had a one-handed catch, like, one of his first games. It's literally the first time NFL, this dude's behind the back, one hand, no look. Is it bigger than a one-handed behind the back, no look catch from your quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's pretty cool.
I was covering it. So literally, and it was cool. Like, so I do stuff with ESPN. I got a chance to, like, stand in awe of this man doing amazing things. Obviously, I'm going to be able to know him. but that joy is real. So it's good to know that it is better than a one-handed catch, behind the back, no look.
That's right.
I can attest to Bijan in the wild being the exact same thing that he just said. Like, he and I were having lunch like a week or so ago, one of our favorite places, like top tier breakfast tacos.
Yeah.
And somebody came up to him and he just took this time to just connect and talk. And I asked him, I was like, dude, you're so good at that. And he said, why would I not take 10 seconds of my time to put a smile on somebody else's face? And he's like, just because they meet me, why would I not do that?
That's right.
That's
That's
amazing.
right.
I appreciate that, man. You're amazing. Hey, so check it out. So in the Bible, it says in Galatians 6:9 that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Check me on that. But the reason that you guys have so much joy and it comes out of you is because you have the Spirit of God active and living inside of you. It comes out because that's what's inside of you. And so I'm just so grateful for both of you. Happiness is temporary. Happiness is something that comes from external. Joy is something that comes from internal. And you guys typify that. I'm so seriously grateful for that. It's amazing. Right. Hey, so we need to get a little bit of like life update. Just some like stuff out of the way. So some of these guys out here, the last time they saw you, you were wearing the burnt orange. And they haven't seen you in Austin for a bit. So let's just take a little bit of time, give them a little life update. What's the last year for Bijan Robinson look like?
Yeah, so for me, like, you know, I play for the Falcons now, so it's been a great experience. I think for this year for me, there's been a lot of, you know, ups and downs. There's been a lot of highs. There's been adversity, and you know, ever since that I started doing pre-draft training and you know, it went from pre-draft to the combine to the draft, and then to a 17-week long season. It was a long year for me, and you know, I think the thing that kind of got me through was like really being able to talk to people, and because I feel like for myself being like a rookie in the NFL with so much expectations, and you know, so many people that are always in my ear and always telling me what I should and shouldn't do, or who I can be or who I need to be, and you know, there's just so many external things that you know that I had to learn from throughout the year, just because, yeah, God blessed me to do all this, and He blessed me to you know be on a stage that you know I would have never thought I would be on one day, but the year has been something that I really appreciated, not just for the learning lessons, but for me being able to get to connect with a whole different you know scene of people in Atlanta, and you know, Austin is my home forever. Like, I love y'all. But I mean, like, I think the blessing is, you know, I can try to connect with anybody and everybody, and you know, Atlanta's done some cool things, you know, for me and bringing me in as one of their own, just as you guys did here in Austin, and you know, I love that place. You know, I love this place, and you know, for me, it's more so that, you know, God had the plan no matter where I went and no matter what I did, and to see that His plan is being fulfilled and being worked upon, you know, especially like to this second, you know, it's definitely a blessing to be able to get to share myself with them, share myself with you guys, and see all the fruitful spirits, you know, coming with it as well.
That's awesome, man. I think for a lot of us, we go through life and we come up against seasons, and we think, you know, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? We watch the draft, and we watch these guys end up going and playing NFL, and you guys have very little to say about where it is that you're going to be. And I remember a conversation that we had early on, right before the draft. Wherever you go, God will be there. He promises to never leave us or forsake us. And so if you ended up in Atlanta or if you ended up in Chicago, it's cold. Ain't nobody trying to like go where it's cold. But like wherever you are, God is going to be there. It's such a blessing to be able to see a year removed. Yeah. Without a doubt, God's plan has been orchestrated with you being in Atlanta. That's exactly where He wanted you to be.
No doubt. And even like I can attest, like for you, I mean, you know, that first city that you went in, like, did your faith get tested in any way? And I mean, how was that transition when it came for? Because I feel like, were you by yourself in your city? And like, how did you kind of overcome, you know, that kind of situation?
Yeah. So the question was like making a transition, going to a new city. For me, leaving Austin, where I had this great community of teammates and friends and like people who were like a pastor and all these people, and all of a sudden now like I'm on my own. By myself, like an actual adult, you know.
I'm a kid.
I was a kid. You're an adult. But the question was like, how was it? It was hard. Like one of my biggest fears when I left college and went to something new was, okay, people would tell me, hey Sam, you're awesome. You're like, Clint, oh, Bijan, you're the best guy. Don't change. No, seriously, they would say, don't change. Like, don't let the money or the fame change you. And I would hear that and I would say, well, I don't know if it's going to change me. I haven't had that much money before. I haven't been that famous before. How do I know what's going to happen? And so I reached out to a mentor, a friend of mine. He said, hey, Sam, all that money is, or fame, it's just a magnifier. It doesn't change who you are. It just exposes it. So if you were generous before, you'll be more generous with more. If you were greedy before, you'll be greedier after. If there were some things you were doing in the dark before, well, you'll probably do more and more of that. The Bible says what you do in the dark will come to the light. Like God sees all. And oftentimes we hear that God sees everything. We say, oh no, I don't want him to see. Like I got so much I need to hide. But he sees everything and he still loves us. Like he loves us so much that he sent his son to die for us while we were sinners, in our shame, in our pain, in our fear, in our frustration. And like people talk about the word gospel. I'm Nigerian. My parents, my wife is from Nigeria. Mom and dad are both born and raised in Nigeria. And my grandma, so my name is Samuel, first name Samuel. Middle name is Onyedikachi, which means who is like unto God. Don't try to spell it, not now, not later. But my grandma doesn't call me either of those names. She just passed away about a year ago, but she would call me Oziama Beke. Oziama Beke means good news from America, because my dad came to America, right? Another version is gospel. This word gospel. And we hear like, hey, people say preach the gospel or say the good news. The good news is that while we were sinning, Jesus died. The good news is that like God came for the sick, not the healed. The good news is that, okay, even if I was like, there's some issues that I have or had or may have, if I give them to Jesus, he'll actually help me through them. He says his grace is sufficient for me. His power is made perfect in my weakness. And so my first year in Arizona, I was scared because I didn't know if all those things were going to change me. I was also scared because I was like, man, God, there's some stuff that nobody knows about. Like, can you help? And every single step of the way, bro, God was there. That's right. And it wasn't even like, even if I didn't even prep it or plan it, every single step, God would show up and be like, dude, just talk to me. Right? The Bible talks about pray without ceasing. How do I pray always? Like in this moment, pray. Talk to God. Talk, listen. And so for me, going to that new city was scary, but God provided. That same mentor said that, he said, money's not gonna, don't let money change you. He said, every team you go to, and I probably would say this for different cities, there's at least one or two people who love Jesus. Really? I said, yeah, there's Christians in the NFL? Like, I didn't know. There's a couple. But he was right. And so like to your point, whether it's Atlanta or wherever it's next, like I would just encourage you or anybody else like to find those people who were following Jesus and walk with them. And if you've like, who is Jesus? What's going on? Like, come talk to us after. Come talk to somebody in the audience. Like, we'd love to tell more.
Dude, you guys, y'all got your phones out to take pictures, but you need to like swipe over to the notes section and like take some of these notes because dropping some bombs already, man. That's fantastic. Give us a little bit of life update. So, wife, kids, work after the NFL. Let everybody know what's going on in Sam's world right now.
So, I talked about the cold. I moved from the cold. I was in Chicago for 7 years. I moved to, hey, long time no see. I just saw Brittany last week, or I texted her. Sorry, I'm not having a side conversation with my best friend's sisters from college. Sorry, we'll talk later. She's like the social media manager for the Cowboys, but like, she's awesome. My bad, you don't want to be famous now. So I moved to Dallas, and with my wife and 4 kids, and right now I finished playing, I'm at ESPN, so I'm a college football and NFL analyst. I speak, I've written a couple books. My most recent book actually has its 1-year anniversary. It's called Change Starts With You, Following Your Fire to Heal a Broken World, yep. Talks about what it means to be a change maker in the world. So speaking, writing, ESPN, and getting a chance to hang out with guys like you and be.
That's awesome. Yeah, so the book, we're gonna revisit that here in just a little bit. And actually, for any of you guys that are interested, we're gonna have it available for you to be able to get today. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, let's just shifting gears just a little bit. You guys are known without a doubt for the impact that you've made on the field. But what are some of the things that are really lighting your fire right now about what you're doing off of the field? Sam, we're going to stick with you, and then we'll go over to B too.
it's shifted, if I could just be totally transparent with you all. I think what's shifted is, like, now that I'm finished I finished playing in the NFL, like my old job is done, and I'm doing other things, and it's fun, and it's great, and I'm excelling, and I'm doing all the shows, there's a piece of me that says, hey, how do you actually give back to the next person? Like, someone challenged me at this conference last week. They said, hey, Sam, hey, you're great on TV, and you do a good job, but hey, who are you discipling? Like, you have people who pour into you, people who love you and who care about you, who you look up to for guidance and for wisdom, but who are you pouring into? And so the thing that's lighting my fire, Clint, is how do I find, maybe it's just 5 people who I can actually pour into? Like, I don't want anything from you. It's hard because it's this weird idea of like, wait, but in our society, it's social media, it's the picture, it's the tweet, it's, oh man, Bijan followed me on Twitter. It's like, but it's like, dude, what if Bijan needs some help? What if there's somebody to my left, to my right that actually needs the wisdom that I've gone through? Right? What if I could be an encouragement, a better husband for my wife, a better father for my children? And so what's lighting my fire now is trying to be a funnel of like how God's blessed me and the wisdom he's given me, like to be an exemplar for people who are behind me.
Dude, that's a good word. Making disciples, man. I love it. That's amazing. B, what about you? Legacy off the field. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, just even piggybacking off you, like me being a people person, you know, I've been caught in right now. A lot of people asking me more about my faith than what I do on the field, and I feel that that's my purpose in my life. Is, yeah, you can do all this amazing stuff on the field, but if you're not connecting with me, you know, through the Lord. You know, even after games, after, you know, pregame speeches, if the one thing that I want you to listen to is what I say about, you know, what God has done for me in that moment, but what a God, you know, can do for me outside of those moments as well. And, you know, I think every time somebody comes up to me, they're always like, you know, so I do these Sunday posts on Instagram every Sunday, and, you know, I feel like nowadays that it's kind of hard for people to get to a church and to go to a church, and you know, that little message on a Sunday can really take over somebody's life and change somebody's life. And, you know, with me, you know, I don't really think nothing of it. I just take 10 minutes out of my morning and come up with something and put it out there. But, you know, I have so many people come up to me and be like Bijan, I mean, what you put today, it changed everything for me. And, you know, that right there is the biggest, like, compliment that I could ever get. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to focus on more and more now. And, you know, for me, like, you know, people call me like Brother Bijan because they think I'm gonna be a pastor or something. But
Brother B, come on.
But
Bishop B.
Somebody give me an organ.
Reverend B. No. Yeah. No, but I mean, like it is I feel like it is my job to preach the gospel in my actions, and it's my job to, you know, give that person or give somebody, you know, that word that maybe they never thought of, maybe they never expected, because that little message that I can feed to them and feed to their heart is something that they can feed to the next person and feed to the person next to them. And I feel like that's where the change starts, and that's where the world becomes, you know, more of a faithful place instead of being scared in our own thoughts and our own heart. And I mean, like Clint, I mean, we had a lunch. We went to lunch like a month ago or so, and I mean, you said something to me that really stuck to me, and you're pretty much saying, like, you see somebody's heart, and you can judge somebody immediately off of the first 10 seconds of an interaction. But you said if you understand and, you know, really see where they're coming from and not just automatically judge where you think that person's going or that person's going to go, that can really open up your eyes and understand who a person actually is, and gives you more of an understanding of how you can change that person's life instead of, you know, trying to come up with something in your own head to make it better for them, but actually understand them. So, like, that was really huge for me, and I took that with me a lot, just because, you know, that's the goal in my life. You know, I can do so many amazing things, but like I just said, if I'm not connecting with you with the Lord, then I'm failing you. So I feel like that's where my purpose is, and that's what I'm trying to do more and more of now in my life, more than just, trying to practice on the football field every single day, but, connect with people in a way that they probably never expected or never thought of.
That's good, dude. Those posts that you make on Sundays, I think it's just really important for people to recognize that following Jesus is not a Sunday thing. You post those on Sundays because you're following Jesus for the 6 days before that. And what you're posting on Sunday is an overflow of what God's been teaching you throughout the course of that week. And I get an opportunity to see a little behind the scenes of God teaching you these things, and then it comes out with like this black and white post of here's Brother B dropping some wisdom on everybody. But I'm grateful for that, man. That's amazing. Hey, so we're going to talk a little bit about some practical ways to live out your faith, and I want to hear from both of these guys. But first, I got a special message for you guys from Longhorn legend, LA Chargers kicker, social media darling. You know him as Dicker the Kicker. Y'all give it up for Cameron Dicker joining us via video right now. Check this out.
Hey, what's up, South by Southwest? It's Cameron Dicker, the Kicker here. Hey, I just want to share with you guys today the verse that I've been reading before every game the last 2 years. It's been Jeremiah 29:11-13. The verse says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Man, this has just been such a great reminder to me for three things. It's with the three verses, 11, 12, 13. So in verse 11, tells me that God already has a plan for me. All I can do is put my best foot forward. And, sometimes that plan doesn't align with what we want. And so it's been really hard for me my rookie year. I played with 4 teams, if you don't know my story. I didn't want to play for 4 teams. Nobody does. You want to play at one team and you want that to be the thing. But that's the plan God had for me, and that's the plan I stuck through and just trusted in. And so that was a really big aspect of my life. And then verse 12 helps me remember to pray to him and ask for big things. Often I feel like I can put God in a box and truly don't understand and ask for what God, the Lord of the universe, can truly deliver. God is always listening to us. And so when we're praying these things, have big prayers, pray big dreams. I feel like we don't trust God enough with breaking down the obstacles in our lives or opening the doors in our lives that we want to see opened. And so I encourage you guys all to just pray these things and see what can happen in your life. And that leads into verse 13, which might be my favorite verse, these three, because it's been honestly the hardest to do day to day. It says, "You'll seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Emphasis on that all, obviously. It's really hard, very, very hard to put full emphasis of Jesus on your heart every single day. That's tough. I've struggled with that daily. I have selfish thoughts, do selfish things every day. I'm sure everybody does, but we always notice about ourselves first. And so that's something that I've really enjoyed this last season, going into games and practices of hey, praying to God, inviting God into every moment through my highs and lows of the day, thanking God, whether I miss a kick, whether I make a kick, just for the opportunity to be there and be in front of the people and help share the gospel with the people at the workplace, share the gospel around in the football field, and just help bring people into this light and to have fun in this game that we get to play and that I'm blessed to be able to play. And so I just want to encourage all of you guys, just remember these three things. Read through this verse every once in a while. Jeremiah 29:11-13. Again, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Well, thank you guys. Have a great time with this awesome panel.
Okay, so you guys are the only people on the planet that can say you saw a video that Cameron Dicker shot for you from Antarctica. And I'm not lying. He was literally in Antarctica when he filmed this to send this to you. I didn't even know you could go there. I didn't think that was I know it's a real place, but I just didn't think you could just I'm just going to go to Antarctica. But that's where he wanted to go for his off season. But I thought that was just really cool. So I want to kick it to you guys. So Sam, you first. Practical ways, some tools, some scriptures, some things that help you in following Jesus daily.
I would just reiterate what Cameron said. I mean, a lot of people have tattoos of their favorite Bible verse. or they'll have it on their screensaver. And Jeremiah 29:11 is one of those verses. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for you to prosper, not to harm you. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Like, that's real, like part one. A lot of us don't believe that. Does God really have good plans for me, even though I'm going through this really bad situation? But he says that I do. And the second verse that he said in verse 12, he says, and then you will call upon me, and I will answer you. Like, a lot of us stop at the verse 11. Okay, God has good plans. He says, no, then you're going to call on me. And it doesn't stop there. You'll call on me, and I will listen. Like, we have a God who listens to us, little old me. In my fear, shame, guilt, in my bad decisions, like, God listens. Then verse 13, what he says, and then you will seek me, and you will find me when you seek me with your whole heart. I think so often, and like one thing I love about whether it's you, Bijan, or some guys that like you played with, even Cameron, it's like, or anybody even here, like when we do things with all our heart, even if we don't get the result that we think we were supposed to get, there's a sense of like joy of like, this is where I'm supposed to be. In work, we do with all our heart. In some of our like dating relationships, we do with all our heart. Sometimes we don't. Like as parents or as coaches, we coach with all our heart. But do we seek God with all our heart? And so like for me, the challenge I would say, what if we sought God with all our, what does that look like? All my heart. Okay, man, maybe first thing in the morning, before I get busy with kids and work and my workout, I'm gonna spend 5, 10, 15 minutes just reading a couple scriptures. Maybe I'll start with Jeremiah 29:11 and 12 and 13. What if in the morning I actually like tried to pray? Let's say I don't know who God is. Okay, God, can you help me show me who you are? What if I talked to that one friend who sometimes maybe texts me those Bible verses, that one friend who, like, what if I actually had a conversation, brought up some questions? I think that's where that all my heart comes in. Because I know when I do things with all my heart, football, TV, speaking, writing, God shows up. But what if we started with him and not the other way around? I did a Bible study with a bunch of friends during COVID. And one of my friends, she plays soccer she was with the Portland Thorn, now she's with a different team now. But we always said, man, I want this thing. And God, I want that thing. And I'm praying to God for this thing. And she was like, no, God is the thing. So as much as we seek these things, like it's like we're going after the things that God created. God's the creator. And last thing I'll share before I pass the mic again is, so one of the shows I do is in this beautiful studio where essentially like it's like where they make movies at ESPN, right? There's a studio, it's like this kind of 3D awesome thing. And for the last year, I've been in that studio every week, and like, I don't know if it's CGI or what, but it's just awesome technology. And I think it's cool because I'm the face of the program or whatever. And the last day of my last show, this last season, the guy who built that studio showed up. And like, I thought I was somebody. He was like, no, dude, I built this whole thing. I was like, dude, let me get your autograph. Like, you think Bijan is cool, or I'm cool, or maybe your spouse or whoever it's like God made them. Yeah. Imagine how much greater God is if I give him my whole heart, if I seek him wholeheartedly, if I just try. The Bible says in James, he says, then you will draw near to me and I'll draw near to you. If you take one step to God, he'll sprint to you. But he's not, God is kind in that he's not going to like pull you and drag you and throw you. He's like, no, dude, I'm here. I'm going to knock. I might whisper. But if you take a step, I'll do the rest. So my recommendation would be to take that one step toward Jesus and watch what he does.
Well, Sam, I want to ask you something. So, like, you talk about prayer and you talk about, talking to God and praying with God, but I feel like that the number one problem is people don't know how to pray. Like, people don't know how to talk to God. And, obviously, when we talk to God and have our own relationship with him, then that's where you see the change in our life. But it's that first step of, saying, God, what do I do? And God, how do I do this? God, where do I go from here? Instead of saying, like, God, can I get this? God, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have this? Because most of the time, like, it's not going to happen that way. He wants to give you a plan. He wants to give you something that you can endeavor and overcome before you get blessed with the things that you want to get blessed with. And that's what I've been learning on, because I always ask God, like, please, Lord, like, give me this. You know, let my team win this game. Let me get these stats. Let me do all this. But it's more important that I have to go through the trials and tribulations of my life and in those moments, you know, by myself in order for me to get to where I want to be. And, you know, for even you guys, you know, obviously we all want to achieve something in our life and have a goal in our life, but, you know, always asking for the wants and always asking for, God, give me this, God, give me that. We should ask, like, God, direct me to this in a way that I can get it, and in a way that, you know, I can be prepared in a way that I didn't just get jumped in or thrown in a situation unprepared, and, you know, more so than you can have what you need in a way that you've had to overcome. And then that's where the appreciation of the Lord becomes more important, instead of just getting something here and now what do I do? Because I feel like what God is doing with us and what God is doing for us, even in this time, in this moment, you know, we're giving our faith and our understanding of the Lord for our life to, you know, to speak in front of, you know, these great people right here. But I feel that we should connect together and teach each other about, you know, what God is trying to actually do in our life, instead of the wants and the needs that you know come with what we're trying to do and come with what we're trying to attain, you know, in our lifetime. So
That's good, dude.
Yeah.
I think there's
Can
some.
I share one thing,
Go for
Clint,
it.
just to follow up on that, Bijan, of so like you talked about like trusting the Lord and talking to God. There's a verse in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and verse 6, but it says to trust in the Lord, once again, that thing, with all your heart, not part of it, but like with all of it. And it goes on to say, do not lean on your own understanding. Like so much of us, we think, okay, it's supposed to go this way or that way. It says, no, don't lean on your own understanding, because your understanding is like it could fall over pretty easily.
yeah,
I'm about 255, and this thing might break any second, you know? Like, but it goes on to say, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. So it's like, okay, how do I start? Okay, let me start with trusting him, not with like a little piece, but with all of my heart, which can be hard and scary, because sometimes we go through hard and scary things. I think about last thing, because you talked about the hardship, James chapter 1, I think verse 2 to maybe 6, it says, count it all joy. Bijan's awesome, right? First round pick, eighth overall pick. My bad. I should know that.
That's cool. It's all right. It don't matter.
Like, can't get anywhere in Austin without autograph picture. Has a team of like the Atlanta Falcons like media crew is here following him for the week. Like that's Bijan, right? Like, but we go through stuff, right? Oh man, Sam, you played 9 years in, but we go through stuff. It's like, okay, well, it's so awesome you're all on stage. What about the hard stuff? I know we're going to talk about it in a second, but there's a verse that speaks to that. It says, count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, right? Not just Bijan and Sam, my brothers and sisters, when you go through trials of various kinds, knowing that the testing of your faith is producing perseverance. And let perseverance have its full effect so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Goes on to say that if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives freely and without reproach, and God will give it to him. But when he asks, you believe and don't doubt. Anyone who doubts is like the waves tossed back and forth, shouldn't expect to receive anything. That person's double-minded and stable in all their ways. So my point is, like, when we go through all hard things, not just like the first-round pick or 9-year career, no, like when like the broken leg in year 3 during my contract year when I was out for the season, or my torn pec, my last year in the NFL. It's like, no, dude, count that joy too. Because God is building something greater than what's seen. The Bible says that what's seen is temporary, what's unseen is eternal. God looks at the heart. Man looks at outward appearance, God looks at our heart. So if encouragement to your point of like, how do I start with God? Or hey, what does prayer look like? I think it's trusting in him fully, but also understanding that those hard times when they come, it's a part of God's plan. I need to lean on him and not myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bro, that's so good. Come on, man. So you actually just perfectly set it up, our next segment, and we actually have another Longhorn legend that we get to hear from. So not only is this guy a Longhorn legend, he is also a Super Bowl champion. So you guys give it up, join in via video. My boy, Charles Omenihu. Come on.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Super Bowl champion here, Charles Omenihu. Oh, you know you can't see Chiefs. delighted to join y'all here for South by Southwest on video. The question of the day, the question of the evening or whatever time, is how do I deal with setbacks or disappointment? And I mean, I thought about this and pondered on this, and I had so many different ways and directions, but after thinking and thinking, there's only one way that I could really answer this question for y'all. How I deal with setback and disappointment, just leaning on God, leaning on the Word, leaning on family. I've dealt with a lot of setbacks, disappointments. Just in this past year, I had to serve a 6-game suspension for my first year with the Kansas City Chiefs, and that was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. Not being able to play in the home opener, not being able to play in some of the big games that you guys saw in the first 6 weeks was tough, and it really connected me and got me closer to the Word. And I want to give a big shout out to Clint, because he was the spearhead and director of that. And it allowed me to just see things in a different perspective, allowed me to understand what God is trying to do in my life, and took a period in time and took me out of what I love to get me closer to Him and draw me closer to Him. And that's what helped me. I journaled a little bit, dived into a lot of music. I love music. And I think every week I would talk to Clint, or we would meet up face to face, and I would just pour my emotions out. I think as athletes and as a black man, it's a little bit more difficult for us to be in a space of vulnerability to pour out. But in the situation I was in, it forced me to do that. It's hard to really see what's going on in front of you, or hard to see what you're supposed to learn. So I really used Clint, I really used the Word, I really used music, chill time, downtime, journaled quite a bit to be able to get through each week, because it was tough. Like, I've never missed more than a game in my career, more than a week. So having to miss 6 weeks and watching them boys play, and I couldn't even be in the building till 3 weeks. Till 3 weeks had gone by, was crazy difficult. And then now I'm dealing with setback and disappointment. The reason why I'm not even with you guys here at the event is because I tore my ACL after sacking the league MVP Lamar Jackson. The next series, I tore my ACL in the AFC Championship game, and that's been super tough. Not being able to play in the Super Bowl. But it led me down, and just be candid with you guys. I had sometimes would ask myself, like, God, why? Like, why would this be happening to me? Why am I again experiencing a traumatic experience of pain or experiencing these things? And I'm still on the road of understanding, but I think how I bounce back is being with a loving, supporting support system. And again, continue to just lean on God. These past couple weeks, scripture that pops up on my phone has really I feel like God is like, yo, like, Charles, like, hello, it's me again. Like, I'm talking to you. Like, never forget that I got you through one bad experience. Don't mean that I can't get you through this one. And the first experience taught me several different things. It taught me to value myself more. It taught me to never just never think that you're above anything. Always understand that you're not untouchable. And if you're not always respecting yourself as an individual, that it could come back to bite you. And I think this experience that I'm going through now is going to probably teach me patience, allow me to spend more time with my family. And I haven't found out the other reasons, but if I ever get to join you guys again, I'll definitely tell y'all everything that I learned from this journey that I'm going on. But that's how I coped with disappointment and hard and bad things, and just bad time. But just leading on to great people, diving into the Word, and kind of like when you're in your suffering. For me, my ears open more, almost, or it had opened more to what God is trying to tell me. Sometimes the suffering is just a wake up to make sure that you understand God is still there for you, still watching over you, and every success, bad, good, whatever, you still gotta lean on Him. So I appreciate y'all. Hope I didn't take too much of y'all time. Much love from 9-0.
Yeah. Man, it's been awesome watching Charles walk through this. And I just love how raw that he was, because he was part of it was like, I'm asking God, hey, why is this happening to me? And I tore my ACL. I'm at the peak of my career, didn't get to play in the Super Bowl. And he's like, I mean, maybe he's trying to teach me patience. I'm not quite sure. If I find out, I'm going to come and tell y'all. I just love how real and honest that is. And so what Sam set up earlier that was so perfect is what it talks about in James chapter 1. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you go through trials of many kinds. It doesn't say maybe if you do. It doesn't say if you go through trials. It says when you go through trials. And also going back to the all your heart, it says count it all joy. Every bit of it is joy. Every opportunity that we have, what the enemy uses for evil, God means for good. And he promises in his word to work all things together for good, not just for our good, but for his glory. And that's what I've been talking to Charles about so much, and I think these guys probably have similar stories too. You broke your leg your third year. You've dealt with adversity too, and you might have some coming down the road. But what we're confident in being able to declare here today is that no matter if we're on the absolute top of the mountain or in the deepest valley, God is still good. That God's goodness is not contingent upon our circumstances. We're not trying to look at our circumstances to prove if God is good or not. God is good, no matter what our circumstances are. So just real quick, you didn't get a chance to tell too much about the broken leg story and how that was a setback for you. So just share just a little bit, and I'd love for you to tee up to how the process of becoming a writer post your NFL career has also shaped what the direction for the next several years is going to look like for you.
You talked about the hills and the valleys. Yeah. And if y'all stay in a couple hours, there's another panel with a writer, artist named Torrin Wells, who has a song called Hills and Valleys. So in 2013, I was in my third year in the NFL. Contract year, was hoping for a big deal, big contract. We were playing the Saints. I just sacked Drew Brees. I was like feeling it. Like I was like, I'm him. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't. Newsflash, was not him. I was somebody else. I don't know who I was. The next quarter, running a play, and essentially one of my teammates gets blindsided, and his hip falls on my leg, and it bends in a way that it's not supposed to. Broken leg, out for the season. I was suffering physically, spiritually, emotionally. And by the grace of God, I had a good friend. Sounds like I had like a Clint in my life, because it seems like you've been that for a lot of guys, who said, hey, Sam, don't waste your suffering. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Suffer with the city. Yeah. I said, what do you mean? He said, you live in Arizona. I was playing with the Cardinals at the time, and there are people here who were suffering too. People in homeless shelters, hospitals. Like, what if you actually spent time and suffered with the city? And oh, by the way, Sam, you love talking, as you can see. You love being on camera. How about you call up a local station and see if they want to bring a camera? And so I did. I actually wrote a blog post. I titled it From Field to Fan, about the experience of being on the field and sacking Drew Brees to now being on crutches with my boot off and being like, oh my gosh, that's Patrick Peterson. Whoa, that's like a Bijan Robinson. It was this weird thing. And I wrote that blog post and I sent it, and all of a sudden, and I reached out and said, hey, I'm Sam Acho, starting outside linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals. I just broke my leg. Most guys, when they go through adversity like this, they disappear. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be at homeless shelters. I'm going to be at hospitals. I'm going to be at schools for kids with autism. Let me know if you want to bring a camera. And they said yes. That was 11 years ago, and that started my foray not only into TV, but into writing. Because during that time, I was journaling, I was writing. And so we started a segment called Sam in the City. It was this weekly segment. I'd be on my little scooter, and we'd go check out different places. And, Bijan, take notes. Sam in the City, man. Bijan in the...
Be on the block.
There you go. Be on the block. I need to copyright that real quick. Hold on. Where's my people? But all of a sudden, that led to now, 10 years later, now I'm on ESPN. And I'm on SportsCenter. There's a segment on SportsCenter called Make Sam Smile, right? But started on the scooter, right? Now I've written 2 books, but the first writing started when I was in pain. When I was like, I've never been injured ever. That's not like a sprained little finger or something. And all of a sudden, like, God, why? God, why? Well, now 10 years later, I see, I was building something new in you. I was showing you that you're so much more than what people give you credit for, right? You're not just a football player. You're an artist in so many ways, right? Those words bring healing to people. So I want you to use your pain and share it, and don't just suffer alone, suffer with the city. Jesus suffered on the cross, right? No servant's greater than his master. If I say I follow Jesus, he suffered, I got to suffer too. It looks different. So that was the experience, and now 2 books later, and now a segment on ESPN later, God is showing me still. It's not done yet, right? He's going to do exceedingly and abundantly. He's showing me still that I'm using this pain for your glory. So like the book's called Change Starts With You, Following Your Fire to Heal a Broken World. And my first book is called Let the World See You, How to Be Real in a World Full of Fakes. And so God is still writing a story in my life, and that pain is what exposed it.
So suffering, I mean, I feel like suffering is a blessing, right? Yes. Because, like, say you didn't break your leg, would you be here today? No. And it's like, people think suffering is end-all, be-all, but I feel like suffering is only a blessing for you. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. And the hard times are the times that's preparing you for what your real purpose is, I feel like, in your life. And, you know, my sophomore year at Texas, I dislocated my elbow. And I never got injured before. Like, that was my first time. And it was a really hard time for me. And, you know, I felt that I was just like, God, like, how does this happen to me? Like, why did this happen to me? Like, I feel like I do everything right by you. I do everything in the right manner. I treat people right. I respect people. I respect everything that you bless me with. You know, I do everything for you. But why did you have to let me do this to my elbow? And, you know, my grandma, you know, she prays over me every single day. Like, and I mean, her God-fearing heart is, you know, beyond measures. And she told me, she was like, the Lord told me that you need to sit back and watch what he's doing for you. And at that point, like, I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, okay, like, I feel like I've been watching, but, you know, she said, no, you need to really understand, you know, God needs to put you through times of learning and through times of observing other things, other people, because I've never been in that point in my life of observing a team, of seeing how people do things, of seeing how people move while I'm on the side. And I think it was like those were the learning lessons for me that brought me to this point today, because I think if I didn't dislocate my elbow, like, I wouldn't have become a better leader. Like, I wouldn't have known what real leadership looked like for myself and leading people in life, and not just, you know, trying to lead them to the best thing possible or just because of who I am. You know, I can bless you like that, but actually being able to talk to you and, you know, talk about the Lord and not be scared about it. And I can give you my examples. They both can give you examples of their life and the trials that really helped them overcome everything. So what you're saying, like, all of us have trials that go on in our life. All of us have bad things that might happen, but I feel like it's only God showing us, you know, this is what I'm doing for you. And he's not, you know, trying to hurt you. He's not trying to put you in a bad situation, but ultimately he's only going to bless you, you know, with everything that you ever wanted. But you got to go through those steps, and you got to go through the breaking your leg to become an author, to become on ESPN, because if that never happened, you might have never been there. So
God doesn't waste anything.
He doesn't waste nothing.
He doesn't waste anything. Yeah. Guys, can y'all give it up for Sam and Bijan? This has been fantastic. Man, I'm so grateful for both of y'all. Go ahead.
There are just 2 verses I just want to read. I know we're out of time, but Habakkuk 3:17-19. It says, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food. It says, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls. It says, yet and still I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God the Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread upon my high places. To the choir director with string instruments. My point in saying that is to hop on what Bijan just said is, what if we could rejoice in God when things go bad? What if we could give him glory when things aren't good? His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher. Just like that guy who built that studio. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I thought I was him. I wasn't. Like, he's him. So, like, if we could rejoice in God in the bad times, imagine the joy you'll have in the good.
That's so good. That's so good. Guys, give it up for Sam and Bijan one more time. Hey, it wouldn't be a fun day at South by Southwest without getting a little bit of swag, so they're going to throw out a couple things to you guys. Not only do we have some signed footballs, but we also got some, you guessed it, some Bijan Mustardson to throw out. So there you go. Grab a couple of these.
Hey, be careful. Sam's not a quarterback, so be careful.
I'm not a quarterback. Y'all kids, watch out. Little kids, watch out.
Nice catch.
QB.
Nice catch.
Oh, I see a Bijan jersey.
Hey.
That was a good catch.
My bad.
That was
sorry.
awesome.
I'm sorry. I'm not a quarterback.
All right, one more. You got it? One more. Don't get it picked off this time.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go.
A duck.
There it is.
Hey. Oh, not a quarterback.
Oh, wait, it was an Aggie that caught it. Throw it back.
It wasn't to you.
Throw
it was
back.
to somebody else.
Hey, somebody get him out of here. Somebody get him out of here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What do we got?
Yeah, take that off.
Take it off. No, don't take it off. Put it back on.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome. Guys, thanks so much. We appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your day.